The human race has always been a competitive bunch. Just look at the crazy internet debates our friends and families get into and you'll realize precisely what we mean. By far the greatest exercise of this competitive nature of ours can be seen in the performance and viewing of sporting events across the globe. And it goes without saying that some of these are pretty strange to say the least. Before we get into it, make sure to leave a like and subscribe with notifications on so you don't miss out on any of the new videos we post. Number 1. Bog snorkeling. When it comes to snorkeling, the majority of people think of crystal clear waters and tropical fish. But the population of Lantwheel well whales has a different perception altogether, which is what brings us to the first unusual sport on our list. Bog snorkeling was first introduced in the region back in 1976 and has next to nothing in common with the recreational activity that many of us like to participate in from time to time. The sporting event takes place on an annual basis and can be summarized as a 110-meter swim through muddy marshland. The catch is that competitors are only allowed to use the flippers on their feet to propel themselves through the trench in question, with absolutely no conventional swimming strokes allowed whatsoever. Simply put, this means that many competitors find themselves to be blind for a vast majority of the swim, using the snorkel they are wearing to breathe, while their heads are kept under the murky waters of the bog. Funny enough, this sporting event actually started because of a bar conversation that took place back in 1976 between two patrons. After one dared the other to snorkel through the muddy river close to the drinking establishment, they attracted quite a crowd, resulting in an annual world championship that has been held since 1985. The sport even has a world record attached to it, being the completion of the 110-meter course in just under 1 minute and 19 seconds. Suffice to say, swimmers who haven't skipped leg day should head on over to Landward as soon as possible if they feel like they can break this record. It is sure to be quite an experience at the end of the day. Number 2. Bossaball. Another fun but unusual sport has been played in Spain since around 2005 and takes the form of what locals call Bossaball. Although Spanish by nature, the sport was actually created by Philip Eijkmans, a former Belgian tennis player turned soccer enthusiast and DJ who wanted to capture the excitement and physicality of the Brazilian beach vibe. The sport has been said to be a mixture of volleyball, soccer, and gymnastics, and is often associated with music and capoeira, which can be experienced while the game is being played. The word bossa actually means style in Brazilian Portuguese, so it goes without saying that you need skill to win. Essentially, what Bossaball involves is two players who set themselves up on either side of a volleyball net. What makes this net a lot different to what we would find on a volleyball court, however, is the fact that it is a lot higher than what the average human can jump. The reason why the contenders are able to spike the ball down at one another is due to the trampoline set on either side of the net, which the players are able to use to jump well above their usual height. Whether someone should try to jump and attack or stay grounded to defend is probably one of the hardest decisions encountered during the runtime of the game, with the course being covered in inflatable platforms to allow for soft landings when things go wrong. And with two contenders jumping for a ball at the same time, you can definitely expect things to go wrong. Number 3. Cheese rolling. The next unusual sport on our list is one that many people have heard of, but very few people have participated in. We are, of course, referring to the cheese rolling that has been taking place in Gloucester, England from around the 15th century or so. There isn't much to cheese rolling in the form of rules, which has actually resulted in quite a few injuries over the years. As it turns out, a number of participants traveled to Gloucester from all across the globe for the chance to catch the 5-kilogram piece of cheese that is rolled down Cooper's Hill by the organizers of the event. Essentially, this cheese wheel is given a 1-second head start and is able to reach speeds of around 113 kilometers per hour when rolling down the hill. This means that competitors have to run as fast as they can down the hill in an attempt to catch the cheese. But since the hill is pretty jagged and a number of participants have been known to take a tumble within the first few seconds, this has a tendency to cause quite a few mishaps along the way. And it's for that reason that cheese rolling has become one of the most exciting sports to watch. Somewhere down the line, people started getting far more competitive, eventually beating the cheese to the bottom of the hill. And since many found themselves colliding with the 4-kilogram wheel of cheese, injuries became almost commonplace. This resulted in the wheel being replaced by a foam replica in 2013, which is a bit disappointing to hear, but is understandable considering the safety concerns involved. Either way, if you consider yourself to be a pretty fast runner, cheese rolling in Gloucester is definitely for you. Number 4. Competitive sleeping. Although we struggle to see how competitive sleeping became an actual sport, tournaments have been held around the world since 2010 when Spain introduced the competitive side of sleeping to those of us who had no idea that sleeping was so difficult. As the story goes, Spain held its first national siesta championship in 2010 in an attempt to revive the tradition of taking a nap after lunch. All the competitors would have to do was fall asleep for a full 20 minutes in the middle of a busy shopping center. The United States then took this challenge a step further by creating the Competitive Sleeping League Championship in 2018, which was actually spearheaded by the sleep tools brand Marpac. While Marpac complains that the Competitive Sleeping League started in 1998 after the rapid growth of the California Sleeping Club, many believe that this competition was nothing more than a creative marketing strategy. But regardless of what it started as, the Competitive Sleeping League Championship is now considered to be an actual sport where competitors need to find a way to sleep better than one another despite the chaos that is erupting around them. Who knew that sleeping could be so competitive? Number 5. Dog surfing. Another unique sport that started in California is dog surfing, which can trace its origins as far back as the 1920s. We're guessing that quite a few of you have seen videos online of dogs surfing along with their owners, but as it turns out, this is an actual sport which has a few competitors littered across the year. For those of you who want to know more, dog surfing follows the same rule set as regular surfing, but it is made a lot more difficult since competitors have to be joined by their canine best friends who often take positions at the front of the surfboard. It is both the skill of the human and dog that are judged based on criteria such as balance, wave size, and ride length, all of which are combined at the end of the day to get an overall score. And since this sporting event has led to quite a few dogs becoming famous and landing roles in movies and television shows, it's no wonder that dog lovers in California have been getting more in touch with their surfing roots. So if you're visiting one of the many beaches in Cali, be sure to keep your eyes open for some of these competitors. It's such an adorable sport to watch in person. Number 6. Extreme ironing? Since ironing is considered to be one of the worst household jobs in recent history, you wouldn't expect people to simply do it for fun. But the world is a weird and wonderful place, as seen by the existence of an Extreme Ironing World Championship held in Yorkshire Dales National Park, England. According to legend, extreme ironing came about after an Englishman came to witness his brother attempting to iron a shirt on a camping trip. This led to the eccentric Englishman attempting to iron in bizarre places, ranging from the airport to a number of mountaintops. As more people came to hear about the strange spots that this mysterious man was attempting to iron in, the sport of extreme ironing started to develop. The World Championship, held every year, now involves competitors attempting to iron in the most extreme ways possible. Some have even ironed while standing on a moving car, while others have taken to the sky in an attempt to iron while free-falling to the ground. This little venture has also led to a number of other extreme sports, such as that of extreme cello playing. Suffice to say, this is definitely one of the weirdest sports you'll ever find yourself watching. Number 7. Face slapping. Last but not least, we have another sport that has been making the rounds on social media over the last couple of years. We are, of course, talking about the great many face slapping events that can be found across the globe. Face slapping championships see two men or women of any size coming against one another in a bitter rivalry. They take turns slapping one another in the face while keeping to the distance requirements until one of the competitors taps out or gets knocked out. Sounds simple enough, right? Well, as it turns out, face slapping has been called the most entertaining sports to watch, with many competing for honor over and above financial gain. The last winner, for example, was Vasily Pillman, who took home around $470 US after taking on the world title. Now, if that isn't a slap on the face, we don't know what is. But what do you think of these unusual sports? Feel free to let us know in the comment section down below.